Everyone, and welcome to ColdplayXtra Live. My name's Abhi, and it's an extremely special episode that you're joining us here. And I'm here with Ian, founder of ColdplayXtra, and pretty much responsible for all the great stuff that ColdplayXtra puts out on their socials, including the show. Ian, how's it going?
Super great, thanks. Just want to start by saying a big thank you to everyone who's been following us for so many years. And thank you to everyone who made this show happen. We're super lucky to have Phil share his Monday morning with us here on the ColdplayXtra Twitch. So I hope everyone enjoys it.
Yeah. Well, folks, we're not going to keep you guys waiting. We don't want to waste a second longer. So for the very first time here on ColdplayXtra Twitch live, give it up for Coldplay's creative director and band's official fifth member, none other than Mr. Phil Harvey. Phil, how are you? How's it going?
How's it going? Hi, Arby. Hi, Ian. Thanks so much for having me.
It's such a pleasure to have you. Honestly, we're so honored, and thank you so much for spending your morning here with us. We have a super fun show planned out. We'll hit up the chat with questions, and we keep this conversation going. But let's just dive in. First things first.
Good.
Music of the Spheres, the new album out now. Congratulations. Firstly, it's absolutely stunning. Ian and I both absolutely love the album. And, after years of being in hibernation since the end of the Head Full of Dreams tour and only peeking your heads out a tiny bit for the Everyday Life era, how does it feel to be back with such a massive album?
Well, thanks for the kind words, Arby. That's very nice of you. How does it feel? Gosh, it felt busy. That's how it felt. It felt like there was a lot to coordinate this time around. But it also felt super exciting, and probably the main thing is just getting that. We just had a few little tastes of what it's like to play in front of an audience again, because obviously we didn't really in the Everyday Life era, and then there was COVID, and so you've had just a little taste of it, and it tastes so good, and this makes us super excited to get on tour. But yeah, it's been really fun so far. I've really enjoyed the Music of the Spheres era. It feels quite free, quite it also feels like sometimes I felt a little bit on the Everyday Life era that I was particularly with Chris, it was like sort of keeping this big golden eagle in a slightly small, not in a cage, but in an enclosure of some kind that with parameters and limitations, whereas Music of the Spheres just feels big. So we can just like let him be the full version of Chris.
Absolutely. Love that. And
Bill,
Ian, go for it.
Yeah, sure thing. Sorry. It was thanks so much for coming on. Music of the Spheres is Coldplay's 9th consecutive #1 album in the UK. So every album been a #1 there, 9 out of 9. Congratulations. I'm wondering, do you guys celebrate those kind of things anymore?
Ooh, do we celebrate? Well, not celebrate per se, but is it meaningful? Absolutely. And I would say it leaves us, getting 9th #1 in the UK just left us feeling sort of profoundly grateful to everyone that's still supporting us, and everyone that bought a copy or listened on streaming or whatever. It's the numbers game, the charts. I'm sure most artists have a sort of slightly complicated relationship with it, because you don't want it to be the be all and end all, right? Because I think that's quite restrictive artistically, and but also you don't want to not care. You don't want to give off the vibe of not caring either, because we're very conscious there are people that are supporting us, like yourselves, who, so it matters to other people beyond us.
Right.
So, in a nutshell, would I have been sad if it hadn't been number one in the UK? Yeah, I would have been absolutely gutted.
Okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And I will get into the chart aspect of it later. We'll dive into some of the tracks, especially with My Universe, etc. But I want to talk. You mentioned something about this feeling like a lot of work, and from the outside as well, we can see how much work has gone into the journey of the spheres. We obviously know about it since Everyday Life, the booklet. There was the teaser there. But then there was also an old Roadie 42 blog dating back to 2010, hinting at the start of building a universe. And some parts of the album are all the way back from 2007. There are like demos from there. So how long has this concept been building up, and how long has the planning process really been for you?
Oh, good. I didn't know about that blog from 2010. I mean, that may have been to some extent more a reference to the Milo Xyloto universe, which came in the next year in 2011. Although I would say very obviously Music of the Spheres, well, not obviously, but to me, obviously, Music of the Spheres is a sort of extension out of a development from that Milo Xyloto universe. And there's even a couple of, specific references to that. But how long has it been? I mean, I feel like Chris was bouncing the title Music of the Spheres around about in it probably just after we released A Head Full of Dreams, so 2016.
Mm-hmm.
It all came. It was all sort of presented at the same time as Everyday Life as well. Chris is very good at sort of coming up with a master plan, which are often, mainly based around titles.
I see.
And then everything sort of coalesces around that.
As creative director, Phil, I guess a lot of your work is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but one, it's about being the band's best friend, but it's also about matching up the music with visuals and kind of like building an aesthetic. We had a few questions asking this on the hashtag. We're curious, what does the average day, this is the first part of the question, and I've got the next part. What does the average day in Phil Harvey's life look like on a normal day to day?
Oh my God, that should be so easy to answer, but because I often get asked this, especially by my kids. My kids will say, "Dad, what do you do? What's your job?" And I find it very hard to answer because it covers a very wide range of things, and because I'm also involved on the management side as well. To some, Dave Holmes is the big boss; he's the big manager, but I do co-manage the band with him. So it can be anything from, what's our insurance policy for the, what's COVID insurance policy for the next tour, to what does the spheric alphabet look like? So, I try and, I speak to Chris most days. I see it. I speak to Guy and Johnny whenever I can. Obviously, it's a bit more difficult with the time difference because they're in the UK. But I just, I just try and do whatever comes up, basically. We have a great team. So sometimes one way of describing it is sometimes I feel like a sort of air traffic controller. There's loads of inputs coming in, and my job is to sort of put them all in the right direction. And
kind of like the bridge between the actual band members and everything else associated with.
Yeah, to some extent, I definitely see part of my job as trying to, let them focus on music as much as possible, and also just bringing all their dreams to reality. So, Chris might say something offhand to me like, like, why don't we make a video in the car park with alien hologram dancers? And it takes him, 30 seconds to tell me that sentence, and then I might spend the next 3 weeks solidly trying to make it happen.
Wow.
It's a bit like that.
Sounds intense. I saw an
I
amazing
heard the
comment
second
here.
part. Oh, go on, Abhi.
Yeah,
Sorry.
just one thing. I saw an amazing comment here from Ira Singh on the Twitch chat. She said, Phil needs a raise, and I think we all agree with that.
I really don't. They look after me very well. Thank you, though.
Ian, go ahead.
Phil, yeah, Pilar and Victor, the artists involved, did some really incredible
Yeah.
work on this album. Some of the most beautiful work to ever probably come from the Coldplay camp. Can you tell us a little bit about how that process went? How did you decide on look and feel of languages and planets, that kind of thing?
That was a really gradual process, which started with Pilar, and then Victor came in a bit later. But Pilar and I were working on planets for a good 18 months before the album. And in parallel, Chris and I were working on the sort of mythology, the story behind the album and all of that stuff, with input from Guy, Will and Johnny, of course. So and then it was Pilar that introduced me to Victor. I've never met Victor. I've never even spoken to Victor. I've just exchanged a lot of digital correspondence with him. But and I don't think that Pilar has met Victor. I think Victor lives.
I think she put out an Instagram ad or something like, does anyone do 3D work? And
it was something like that. It was through Instagram, right?
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's just been this amazing addition to the team, and they've just one of those really lucky things where it all just came together nicely.
The videos are incredible on the visualizers and some of the stuff like with the My Universe remixes. Like that work is honestly incredible. So congrats on.
Good. Thank you. Yeah,
of
course we got very
managing
lucky.
all that.
Well, we got and then we got the director Dave Myers came on board as well pretty early in the process, and he was hanging out with Chris and I in the studio a lot, well before we'd finished the album, and so he's been a huge part of that as well.
There's one planet in particular that I think fans are quite interested about, which doesn't have a song tied to it. It's called Planet Aurora. You've mentioned on the station head, it's a dwarf planet that's a little bit lost. Can you give us anything else more than that? Fans are still like, well, what is this?
I don't know how much I can say about that. I mean, it's sort of it's all wrapped up in the story, but it's sort of, Aurora is a planet that a long time ago was part of the spheres, and then it's had some problems, and it's currently in a bad place, and is actually sort of annexed off from the spheres. So that's why it doesn't have a song at the moment.
Very interesting. We'll leave it there. I will not dig in for more information. I think that's good. Let me get back to what I was kind of talking about earlier in terms of like coming back in a big way. Obviously Higher Power kicked off the whole thing. It was a great anthem for the summer, great start. And then we obviously had Human Heart, a few performances here and there. And you treated the fans to an absolute treat with Coloratura, which we'll again talk about a little bit more. But the second big single with My Universe and with BTS, absolutely, it's been talked about a lot. Obviously, Chris has talked about it like a million times already. But we just had a couple of other questions. Like, obviously, it was Coldplay's second #1 in the US, first since Viva La Vida in 2008. Now, how does that feel? Because that is, 9 on 9 #1 albums in the UK is now something that us fans also arrogantly know that Coldplay can get, and we really want you guys to obviously get that. But getting a #1 single in the US is a whole different achievement now. So how did that feel for the whole band and for you?
It felt really great. I mean, was a strange one because obviously BTS as a band have enormous commercial clout, especially in the US.
Yeah.
Now that wasn't at all the starting point for why we were talking to them and then made a song with them. That came about just because we'd heard that they liked Coldplay, and I, you know, as I often do, I just mentioned it to Chris. I just said, "Oh, did you know this? BTS, apparently some members of BTS really like Coldplay. You know, we should think about doing a song with them, or, you know, writing a song for them." And he sort of, you know, I think I might have said this already. He, you know, he kind of just was like, "Oh, that's great. That sounds like a really cool idea," but didn't give me any firm feedback. And then it all, and then the song arrived. Basically, the song just naturally just came through, as Chris would say, about 4 or 5 months later, and suddenly it was all like, "Okay, all right, let's do this." But then once we'd made, I mean, as soon as Chris played me the demo on the phone, I was like, that is a really, really good song. And that's clearly going to be a big song for us.
Yeah.
This was before BTS had heard it or agreed to, you know, develop it with us. So then Chris went to Seoul, and they continued to write the song together, and you know, BTS.
You go to Seoul with them?
No,
with Chris, or?
no, it was very limited because of COVID. It was all, there was very strict limitations on who could go and how long Chris could stay, and what, you know, it was all very, we were lucky that even Chris was allowed to go. So then once you know, that session had gone so well, and it was just a dream, as you've probably seen in that documentary, that big hit that BTS put together. So then, you know, you start thinking about how we're going to release this song, and stuff like that, and then you start looking at what BTS have achieved in recent times, and I think they've had, I should have checked this, but I think they've had like 6 US #1s in a row. So
that's right. Yeah.
And that, you know, you know, that brings its own pressure as well. So you know, I had hopes in the back of my head with what would happen if the Coldplay fan base, if you know, people who like Coldplay like the song, and people that like BTS like the song, then it could do well. But I didn't want to entertain the notion of it going to #1 until someone actually called me and said it was #1. And then, so I was, you know, I was really, really thrilled with that. It is a huge, you know, it's a big deal for us. And I was just really happy for that song as well, because it was just, you know, it was one of those things where I just loved the song right from the beginning. And then I was happy for, I was really happy for BTS too. That we, you know, there was a sense of like, oh, we didn't let them down. That's great. And, you know, I was also super happy for Max Martin and his team, Max, who produced it with us, because he deserves as many #1s as he can possibly get.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And, you know, we got a great question from Anna on Twitter, and we hope she's watching. We saw Chris take some gifts for BTS, and we saw BTS brought back some gifts as well. Did they give you something as well?
They did. They were very, very kind.
Nice.
They did. They gave me one of those Korean, I don't know what it's called. It's like a Japanese
hanbok.
Hanbok.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's absolutely stunning. I think there was footage of, I think BTS dropped one of their bombs of
Mhm.
like, you know, the social media that showed the band putting them on, and there was footage of me, and I think it got taken out.
You got your face got blurred out because they thought you were not a member of the. They like blur out the
Yes,
staff.
and that, but also, but I remember there was footage of me with the, and you know, I'm quite a big guy, and I don't, and I, you know, they probably, you know, it was on the snug side, but I still have it hanging up in my wardrobe, and yeah, it's a treasured possession.
That's great.
Awesome.
That's so great.
The relationship with, as you mentioned, like with between Coldplay and BTS has been super sweet to watch unfold. You know, as fans, we've loved seeing this relationship blossom and the stories that come out of it. The collaboration itself, though, mustn't have been easy going as it looks from the outside, right? You have to manage all 7 BTS members with different roles. You know, some of them rap, some of them sing. You have all Coldplay members. You have Max Martin in the middle. You have language barriers, time zone barriers. How was it to make all this come together? Like that makes, for me, that makes it even more incredible that we got this and it's like how it is.
Oh, thanks, Ian. Well, it's nice of you to recognize that. It was actually pretty drama-free, all in all. They really are lovely, lovely. You know, the 7 of them are so sweet, and their management team is very, very lovely as well. So it was really, yeah, no big dramas, but it was a lot of coordination. I have to give massive credit to Chris for coordinating, and RM, I guess, in BTS. You know, that they did a really amazing job of coordinating who was going to sing what, and you know, RM and J-Hope and Sugar did a lot of the Korean lyric work, but it all came together very naturally, I think. And yeah, and then we got, you know, it was actually, I thought it was potentially going to be really, you know, challenging, trying to match up BTS's release schedule and our release schedule, but actually it was all, you know, pretty straightforward.
That mainly the reason why we had to wait till September, or
there was but also we had to finish that video, which was a bit of a magnum opus. And so yeah, that was also at play there.
Okay, makes sense. Our final BTS question is, you know, and everyone's really curious about this, is will there be a live performance together with BTS? Is that something with everyone on stage, is that something we can expect sometime in the future?
Can you expect that at some time in the future? I would say don't not expect it.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
I'm very optimistic that may happen at some point in the future.
Okay, I like the tone of that. Let's
And
move on to a couple of the
really
other tracks on the album.
Yeah.
Ian, do you want to talk about People of Pride?
Yeah, sure. I hope time's good for you, Phil. I know we got limited time with you, but
no, sure, please go.
Yeah. Okay, great, thanks. People of the Pride seems to have become an instant fan favorite. You know, it seems to be one of the band's favorite as well to perform live at the moment. Coldplay superfans will recognize it's a demo back from 2007 called "The Man Who Swears." I think it was. It somehow found its way onto the internet.
There's a man who swears he's God. It was called.
Yeah. And I know this is a crazy question to ask, but how come sometimes it can take 10 or 14 years to get a song right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I remember that was a song right at the beginning of the Viva sessions, possibly late 2006, and I really liked it then. Yeah, songs can sort of fall away for various reasons. but someone at my door. Just give me 1 second. Hang on a minute.
You're good.
We'll keep an eye on the chat.
Yeah,
See
no
how things
worries.
going. We need to pick out some questions. I'm seeing some good comments here about people of the Pride. I hope everyone enjoying it so far. Phil's already back.
Oh, that's great.
You're on mute, I think.
Sorry, I'm on my own in the office today. People of the Pride and The Man Who Swears He's God. Songs can just fall away sometimes during an album recording session. And for Viva, we had so many songs that were just there's loads of songs that weren't finished from that. And Chris managed to find a new home for it, which was great.
I think Max Martin obviously has like an illustrious career in the pop music industry, but a lot of people don't know that his own roots go to like heavy metal rock and stuff like that in his origins. How much of what we get on People of the Pride is because of Max kind of pulling that together with his background and in that, his passion in that as well?
Yes, I haven't. God, I should ask him about that. It was, with all the songs, Max made a massive contribution to the sound of it. But it was always, right from the inception, it was a pretty hard-hitting rock song. But yeah, you're right. It is the song that the band probably most enjoy playing live at the moment. It's fun. I feel like, particularly for Chris, it's just like a sort of release.
Yeah, it's actually really amazing to see Chris like really get into a different element when that song like kicks in and the organ starts in the back, and he does an incredible job performing the song, not just singing it but also like just giving out the energy to the crowd as well. Really gets everyone into it.
I really can't wait to see that in a stadium. That's going to be exciting.
Same here.
Everyone here.
Speaking of another song that we've seen live, Coloratura, we have to talk about it. It's an incredibly ambitious, beautiful, musically complex song. Generally, how impressed were you when that all kind of came together? It must have taken hours and hours to get that thing right, like 10 minutes. Absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah, it was. That was the last song to come together for the album, and I think it's probably been documented already. That there was a version of it that was about 4.5 minutes long, which was beautiful. I loved it, but it was it did sound different, and it was it was just quite a straightforward verse chorus kind of song. And then over the Christmas holidays, I guess like a year ago, Chris kind of just, he was living with the rough mix of it and just decided it just didn't have the essence of what he'd imagined when he first came up with the melody. Yeah. So he then he did this demo on the piano, on a really creaky piano. I don't know how he did it, but he must have just been recording a voice memo on his phone, and he put the phone on the piano, and must have been a really old out of tune piano. And he played it and recorded this 10-minute version, but all piano, nothing else.
Oh wow!
And then sent it to me, and probably sent it to Guy, Will, and Johnny. And I didn't get it. I was just like, why have you done this? That song sounds great already. Why are you doing all these weird things and changing time signatures and that? And but Chris was just like, trust me, I got this, trust me. And he did a lot of it. We had one session together as a band where they did it in a day. So it was actually really quick.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was really, really quick. But I love that recording, and it just proves that I'm a musical Neanderthal. And Chris should never ask my opinion for anything, and I often say that to him.
We're getting a lot of love for Coloratura on the chat as well. So just letting you know.
Yeah, some people saying best Coldplay song of all time, solid 11 out of 10. You know, a lot of people loving Coloratura. One of the highlights of the album, definitely. The end. A lot of fans are actually wondering. I'm going to skip one question, Abhi, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
A lot of fans are wondering. You put out a teaser a few months ago about Coloratura at the Roundhouse, and a lot of fans are asking, where is that whole 10 minutes hiding away?
Yeah, I'm limited in what I can say, but it's a very valid question, and duly noted that people would like to see the whole thing.
Okay.
A lot of fans saying we need it, and sorry that we're abusing it for you, abusing you for this, requesting all the time. You know,
it's a very nice kind of abuse. I understand.
We're a needy bunch.
We can get a little bit demanding, if I'm being honest. we are greedy for sure.
Yeah, it's also, you know, you have to. It's hard to sustain. I don't want to say too much, but it's, you know, it's hard to sustain a visual piece for 11 minutes. I don't know. Sometimes less is more, but I do also hear everyone loud and clear, and it is a conversation that will be returned to at some point.
Okay, fair enough. Just wrapping up the actual album itself, there was one really interesting part on Spotify, under My Universe in particular. You guys had great quotes from the band underneath each song, and what story each song is kind of telling. And it was the message on the My Universe was short, but it was very strong. It was basically old Coldplay is old Coldplay. You can go listen to that whenever you like, and we're enjoying what we're doing now.
Yes, I think that was Guy that said that. I think Guy did most of those.
I see.
As I remember. Yes, Guy said something like, a lot of people just want us to make music that sounds like what we did 20 years ago, but those albums exist for those people to listen to whenever they like, and there's no point in just trying to repeat history.
I think though, with a lot of, you put out Everyday Life, which does have some older Coldplay sounds to it, more traditional Coldplay sounds, let's say, and you have Coloratura, which is, I think, a mix of some brilliant old Coldplay classics, a little bit of like Moving to Mars in there, a little bit of Gravity here and there. Like, there's a few mixes of different eras. I think there's things that people can enjoy anyway on Music of the Spheres that, are little callbacks to the past or whatever.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, it's all new for you guys, but fans see it differently, I think.
No, I understand, and gosh, yeah, of course I understand. There are bands that I have liked for a long time, and I don't know what to say other than the band just kind of. You have to let them just do what they want creatively, otherwise it's dead in the water. If I was some sort of uberlord that said, I want you to write 10 more albums that sound like Parachutes, it would kill them creatively. All the magic would go.
Absolutely.
I think it's one of your strengths that you reinvent yourself every time anyway. So
and we've had that. The same conversation has come up about old Coldplay versus new Coldplay ever since. I mean,
A Rush of Blood to the Head
definitely started in X and Y, and it probably started in Rush of Blood to the Head.
Yeah,
and I vividly remember how much shit the band got when we released Parachutes for sounding like this, or sounding like that, or being this kind of music or that kind of music. So, there's never there is never one golden moment where everyone was like, oh my God, Coldplay are incredible. Just perfect music. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah. No, I think we all agree here in terms of.
And my what's beautiful for me is my 4-year-old son you know, for him, the greatest piece of music ever created is My Universe. So, you know, that's so, yeah, just got to keep moving forwards.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and we keep it moving forward here as well. Just last couple of questions we want to quickly get. I know we're running over. We don't want to take up too much of your time. But quickly, just touching on the tour that's coming up. You've already sold out 6 nights in Wembley. Most of Europe and Central America is sold out. Quite a lot of North America is sold out. We know more tour dates are coming. But I think a couple of questions we had was, how hard has it been to actually plan for this in the current climate? And we've had a template of what a Coldplay show could possibly look like at the Amazon Seattle show, the Climate in Pledge Arena show that you guys did.
Yeah.
So, one, I guess this is a question, 2 parts. One, like, how many more tour dates, I guess, could we keep expecting? Is this going to be more like a head full of dreams type situation, or something else coming around? And is the template of the tour going to be something along the lines of what we saw in Seattle?
Wait, just give me 1 second. This will should take 10 seconds.
No worries. No worries. Well, Phil's busy. We'll just keep checking the chat here.
A lot of requests for songs on the tour.
Lots of questions about Square One. I've seen Square One.
I don't think Square One will be featuring on the set list, I'm afraid.
Sorry.
But the tour, I mean, I can't say too much because it's not up. Each leg that gets announced requires a lot of planning. It has been really difficult trying to come out of COVID or, come out of the pandemic and the restrictions and whatnot to plan a tour. It's been, really tricky. There's a lot more potentially planned, but I just can't say too much now because it's all got to be, it takes a lot of detail and discussion with the band and with management. But if all goes well, put it this way, there's a lot to look forward to.
Okay, sounds good.
You mentioned in the station head thing that you've seen a few set lists knocking around. We've seen that some fans are a little worried that some songs that were maybe definite highlights in the Head Full of Dreams tour maybe might not make it to the next tour set list. We're thinking about songs like... No, this is just like the general consensus of fans, I think.
Oh,
they're worried about songs. Sorry. They're worried about songs like Charlie Brown, Every Teardrop, Hymn for the Weekend, some of the songs that were big moments on the Head Full of Dreams tour. And obviously there was Chris's comments about nothing from everyday life is going to get played either. Is it hard to balance that kind of classics versus new things on tours at this point?
Well, we're probably getting to that point where it's hard to include all the catalog songs that people would want us to include. And that includes me. There are songs that I was just talking about this with Chris 3 days ago, and there's a song, from 10 or 15 years ago that I really want in the set list, but it's not going to make it. And, I just have to, Chris is the main driver of the set list, because for him, it's not just about ticking boxes, about balancing old and new. It's very much a flow and an experience and there definitely will be some songs that were big highlights on Head Full of Dreams tour that we won't be able to fit them in every night on the next tour. And sometimes that's a good call, because there was some, I have one in mind in particular, but I can't say what it is. But on the last tour, it was a great moment, but I actually find it hard to imagine it outside of that.
It's okay. We know it's politic. It's okay.
No. Well, that wasn't really in the Head Full of Dreams. I'm talking about the Head Full of Dreams tour.
Yeah.
That politic wasn't
Okay.
there a bit, but not. No. Politics got a chance of popping up for a little bit.
Okay, that's good
nice.
news.
Lots of
Fans are
requests
gonna
for
love
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all, it's under construction at the moment, and yeah, put it this way, it's not something we just throw together at the last minute. It's a lot of thought goes into it, and I do feel very, very confident that even the people that, such as yourselves and people who follow ColdplayXtra, people that have a encyclopedic knowledge of Coldplay will be very happy, but also people that have only heard Viva La Vida in My Universe, I think they'll also be happy. So there's a lot of different kinds of people that are coming to these shows.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great answer. I mean, I think everyone will be happy with that one. We'll wrap up. We only have a couple more questions here left, Phil. One quickly we do want to touch upon was the sustainability efforts that you guys are doing. It's absolutely groundbreaking stuff, industry defining stuff, really. There's so much thought and there's so much preparation gone into every single aspect of touring. And obviously, there's still a long way you want to go, and we all want to go. But was there one particular moment during the planning of the tour that you saw something come together in the sustainability aspect, and you thought, "Oh wow, we could actually pull something off here"? Was there like one key moment that really set you
No,
up?
not really. It was more that from just Chris must have said that he gave that interview to the BBC in. Well, I think it was on the day that Everyday Life came out, November 22nd, 2019. But before that, we'd been talking about the issue, but we hadn't really gone deep into it. But then after we did that interview, we got absolutely inundated with people, companies, innovators, environmentalists saying, we can help with this, we can help with that. Have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? And it was quite overwhelming for a minute. And, so at that moment, we immediately hired a brilliant sustainability consultant who's still with us today. And we started compiling, we brought all these ideas together and we started researching them and analyzing numbers from the previous tour and seeing what we could do better. It's been a really huge process. It's been a good 2 years solid work. Something that I've worked on most days for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's been but it's been fun. It's been slow and steady, to be honest. So there wasn't really one moment. It was just kind of like just bit by bit by bit by bit until we finally had it all together that we could present on our webpage on coldplay.com/sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
And it will continue to evolve, obviously, from that.
The fans are super proud that you're taking the lead on that and changing the industry, and no other big artist who's doing stadium tours next year are really putting out these kind of things. So we love it that it's Coldplay that are out there
very
good
kind.
into the world.
Thanks.
You said Chris mentions things in interviews. Something he mentioned very recently in an interview is, Chris has always kind of said this might be our last album. And, the other four of you have always kind of like neglected the concept, or, sometimes even quoted saying, I hope not. Seems like this time there might be an internal plan for, let's say, the last 3 albums, or at least that's what it seems like from the outside. Is that the case?
I think Chris has publicly said that, has he not?
Yeah.
I think I saw
it. Is it like an internal plan, or is it just Chris being Chris?
Well, that's a good question. But Chris is our main songwriter and our creative driving force. So it is his prerogative to write out the roadmap for where we're going. And I think he has been quite straightforward about what he thinks we'll be doing over the next few years. And I think, did he say how many more? I think he did do an interview. I heard it where he said there'll be
12 albums.
12
Yeah.
12
albums.
albums. When the
And
last
the last
album will
one-
be called Coldplay.
He did say
Self-
that, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I like, and that, you know, that was not a throwaway comment. He's already, you know, he's written most of the songs for that as well. So
Oh, wow.
Wow.
he knows what he's doing.
And after
Okay.
that, may we see a return from Los Unidades, or, you know, Coldplay's going to close the book? Do we open the book on Los Unidades?
I feel like a return of Los Unidades is unlikely.
Oh,
Okay, so EP1 is the one and only rare edition.
As far as I know, and as far as I'm willing to predict, yes.
Okay, thank you.
that is amazing. Phil, this has been such an amazing conversation. We had a hashtag going on Twitter and other social medias asking people for questions. So very quickly, we'll just jump into some quick fire questions that fans had, and then we'll wrap up. The first question here was from Jules. Hi, Phil. What was your family's reaction when you dropped everything to manage Coldplay back in the day?
My family's reaction was very positive. It was just amazing, really. I was studying classics at Oxford University on a very different path, and I woke up one morning when I was supposed to be doing an exam, and I was just like, I can't be fucked to do this. I don't want to do this. So I went straight into my college, told my Latin and Greek tutor, who was probably 80 years old. I said, I'm going to drop out and manage this rock band. And he was very supportive, and my family were very supportive. So I was lucky there.
Wow, that's amazing. We love a supportive family. The next question is from Martina. Hi, Phil. When will you officially release Us Against the World Silver Bird edition? So this has been a very popular question as well.
That needs to. Yeah, I think it's finished. So hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get the next question up here. Next question is from Claire, who actually is also part of Coldplay's team. Claire said, "Hi Phil, in your opinion, is it too early to be listening to Christmas lights?"
I'd say it's marginally too early.
Marginally too early.
I find, you know, I just went into Starbucks before this, and they were playing Christmas music, and I was like, no,
Not yet.
Not just yet.
it's 8th of November. No. In the US, I think there's a sort of social consensus that after Thanksgiving, which is around about November 26th or something, that's about the time for Christmas to really get going. And in the UK, I always feel, last week of November is about right. So I would say hold off till then.
Is that when your Christmas tree goes up? Late November?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
one of the first songs that will get played on the Harvey stereo is Christmas Lights.
All right.
All right, great. The next question here is from Alexia. Hi Phil, we know you tell us the meaning of FFDF 2024 in due course, but can you give us a clue as to its meaning and what it entails? Can we find out the meaning for ourselves?
I think there's no clue that I can give, but there is a meaning.
There is a meaning. Okay, sounds good. The next question here we have from Augusto. What do you and the boys think about playing a surprise song per night on tour? I think it would be a fun experience for everyone involved, and most of the discography will have been played live by the time everything is done and said. You know?
That's one surprise song per night.
Per night.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. I'm gonna write it down.
There you go. Thanks, Gus.
There you go.
If it happens.
I think it'd be great. You know, it keeps everyone online as well, keeping in tune with the set list changes. That's what people love. So, you know.
Yeah, I do get that. And sometimes I wish we were that band that like Pearl Jam or whatever that can switch up their set list every night, or Springsteen, or even Foo Fighters. But there's just something different about the way we do things that makes we often start a tour with those intentions, and then the show becomes the show kind of. But I do hear you loud and clear, and we will try to mix it up as much
Okay,
as we can.
fair enough. I think we're almost done here. The final thing, obviously, we have here, Phil, and this encompasses something that we kind of wanted to thank you for and thank the band for, is just the ability of the band to bring people together. I know you've probably heard it from so many people. Chris has probably heard it when he's out and about, and so has the rest of the band. But not just in person, bringing people together at a show, but creating the community on Twitter. You know, there's so many people, hundreds of people who are friends now, who find their escape from their daily lives on Twitter, just
I
and the
love that.
shared passion is just Coldplay, and that's it. And you know, it's not just
Brilliant.
friendships. There's also people who end up finding their soulmates. So we have, we got a fandom movement kind of going where Gabrielle and Antoine, Gabrie's from Brazil, Antoine's from France. They met each other online on Twitter, and they got married this January because of Coldplay. So, you know, how does, firstly, obviously, congratulations to them, but how does that make you feel? Just hearing these stories, does it become overwhelming sometimes to see the?
Congratulations, Gabby and Antoine. Did you say they have got married?
Yes.
Yeah, in January. In January, they got married.
That is phenomenal. I love that. I'd love to know what their first dance was. It was probably Ed Sheeran.
Probably Coldplay.
Probably Ed Sheeran. But that's really tremendous. I love to hear that. I love the community around Coldplay. I really, really do. I love me and Chris often talk about this, about, you know, ultimately, why do we do what we do? And I think it does kind of come down to bringing people together. And that's probably got more true as time has gone on. You know, especially, I guess, as the shows have got bigger as well. You know, it's a really amazing thing to feel like you're bringing the people together in a stadium, but also online. And yeah, I'm thrilled for Gabby and Antoine. Congratulations to you both. Yeah, that's really
all the Coldplay friends and all the Coldplay friendships they've made. There's so many.
So many.
That's really, really lovely.
Yeah,
that means a lot.
We also appreciate when you like snoop us on Twitter. It's great. You know, we randomly see a tweet coming in. Is that your way of passing time? If you're bored, just open up Twitter and see what we're up to.
I don't when I'm bored. No, I like Twitter. I like hearing what you guys are saying, and you know, it's always insightful and often encouraging, which is nice. But also, you know, I do pay attention when we haven't got things right, maybe from time to time. And but yeah, and I like the sense of community. It's cool.
That's great. That's absolutely fantastic. Well, Phil, you promised us half an hour. We've kept you here for 54 minutes. So firstly, thank you so much. Absolutely incredible. What a conversation we've had. Ian, any final words?
No, just thank you, Phil, for your Monday morning, and send our best wishes to the band. And we hope, we hope to see you all soon. I know you're coming back to the UK for the Jingle Bell Ball and maybe some other things. And
that's true. Yeah, we'll
so,
be in the UK in a month or so.
And everyone gets to see.
Thanks for everything you do with ColdplayXtra. Thank you, Abhi. Thank you, everyone that's been watching. We really, really appreciate it. We don't take any of it for granted at all. And I've really enjoyed having this opportunity to talk directly with you, and it's been really fun.
Absolutely. We love it too. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. See you guys soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.